The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show and Matt Landowski and Sweet Hand Sports. Our mission at Sweet Hand Sports is to gear you up for greatness. With our top tier gloves, you are set to grip, win, and dominate. Grip your victory and leave your mark on the game. Sweet Hand Sports brings you batting gloves and now golf gloves that are designed to be durable and breathable. Go to sweethandsports.com, use the promo code BONO10 and save yourself 10%. Grip your victory at Sweet Hand Sports. Once again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10 to save yourself 10%. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming product at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of their suppliers are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. He has sent me a complimentary bottle of their beard balm. My beard has never felt softer. It has never been more tamed and has never grown faster or looked healthier. I've been using these products for a little while now, and I love every minute of it. Once again, buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 15%. Next, we are brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood. The Tactical Brotherhood is a movement to support America. We believe that there is a gap in focus when it comes to companies that support America. We want to be the front lines of supporting Americans and are determined to find something worth being proud of in every aspect of our military, starting with the men and women who serve and protect us. Our mission is simple: to unite like-minded individuals by celebrating what makes each one of us unique Americans. You don't have to be a veteran to join us. You just have to love America. Go to tacticalbrotherhood.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, the tacticalbrotherhood.com, promo code Mike Bono, save yourself 10%. Next, we are brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company brought to you by first responders for first responders. They are a clothing apparel company that helps those who have worked through the COVID-19 pandemic and also for all the first responders with their mental and physical health. Deemed Fit donates 100% of their net profits from the Never Forget collection sales to the Tunnel of Towers Foundation to support those from 9/11. Once again, go to deemedfit.com. Check out all of their great products. All of them have great messages. They fit and look great. Use the promo code Mike Bono and save yourself 10%. By supporting Deemed Fit through your own purchase, gifts bought for your friends, family, and colleagues, or by becoming one of our brand ambassadors, you become part of the Deemed Fit family. Don't miss out on this great way to help and support everyone who has helped and supported our country. Deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Next, we have Shankit Golf. Shankit Golf is golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We're not going to go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but we are going to give you the gear to help you rock it on and off of the course. Our goal here at Shankit Golf is for everyone to have a great time on and off of the course, and we're going to help you look great while doing it. Go to shankitgolf.com, use the promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Once again, shankitgolf.com, promo code Mike Bono, and save yourself 10%. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Web Western. Web Western is for those who roll up their sleeves and do what it takes to get the job done. The arrow serves as a constant reminder to be a straight shooter, no excuses, no bullshit, just honest hard work. It's a brand that reflects the passion within us to lend a hand when it is needed, fight to protect our God-given rights, and live life like there is no tomorrow. Be a straight shooter. Now, let's start the show. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. This is, as always, your host, Mike Bono. I got a great episode for us today. We've had a lot of fighters and mixed martial artists and combat sports guys on the show, so we're going to sit here and we have a roundtable, all things boxing here today, and we're going to talk about that. I got a panel of guests. I'm going to let them introduce themselves here. And guys, I need your name and the answers to these 2 questions. And it is, do you prefer to shower in the morning or at night? And what are your thoughts, elephants? And D. Frank, we're going to start with you.
Well, D. Frank, I got to be honest with you, as a bigger guy, it's usually both at night and in the morning. It's a double dipper, it's a double shower because let's be honest, you don't want to be the sweaty guy. And when it comes to elephants, I have trouble trusting anything that doesn't forget and has a bigger dork than I do.
Gotcha. Matt, let's go to you next.
Ooh, hard to follow that one. Matt Oldmore, I like showering in the night when everything's all settled in and done. And really didn't have an opinion on elephants, but that's a pretty convincing argument there, D. Frank. That's a pretty good thing to not trust.
The vampire coach himself.
Oh yeah, Mr. Askew, aka the vampire coach. You know I'm in vampire mode, so when I get ready to shower, you already know what time it is, man. It's either nighttime or in the morning. Figure that one out. But hey, what's my thoughts on elephant? Hey, if it's alive, I'll put it on the grill. So my thought is I'll put that sucker on the grill. It's going on the grill, baby. Right next to the briskets.
I love this panel. We're not even done yet. Rusty, we got you next.
Hey, man, I'll shower at night. Get up too early to go to work and have to worry about all that in the morning, so I'll be ready to go in the morning. The elephant thing, it's all about the trunk.
Okay.
It's all about the trunk. You can use your imagination. It's all about the trunk.
Gotcha. Last but not least,
really
Fitty.
nice.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard bunch to follow, but everybody knows me. I'm Fitty. I like to shower in the morning, so I like to get everything done. If people know me, I'm usually up at 3 in the morning. I get all my stuff done before I go to work, 3, 4 in the morning. Get all my stuff done because when I come home, I want to change, I want to have dinner, and I want to do nothing. So I like to shower in the morning. As far as elephants go, I mean, it's the most powerful land animal. If you chat GPT it, there's nothing that can actually take down an elephant one-on-one, except maybe like a 40-foot anaconda that comes out of a tree the right way. But other than that, or maybe Mr. Askew could take it down. But no, I think elephants are the most powerful land animal ever. I don't think you could stop one, and they're also very, very smart.
Okay. For me, this show has gone off the rails in the first 30 seconds, and I love it.
Are we talking about boxing tonight?
We will be. We will be talking about boxing here in a minute, Rusty. Yeah, don't worry. We're going to get into that in a minute. For me, I'm a morning shower. I feel like when you wake up, you smell like sleep. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but that's my reasoning for showering in the morning. It's because I just feel like when you wake up, you stink and you smell like sleep. As for elephants, I mean, I'm a fan. They're smart. They're huge, but I mean, I wouldn't want to cross one face to face. But I feel like enough has been said about elephants here in the last 30 seconds to a minute here. So we're gonna jump into this here, and we're gonna talk all things boxing here. D. Frank, we're gonna start with you. And who is your favorite boxer or boxers of all time?
Yeah, so I grew up in an era where Mike Tyson was the man, and and just such a fascinating story. As his true heyday was only a very short amount of time, but his legacy, I mean, nobody wanted to step into the ring with Iron Mike, and even to this day, it doesn't matter. He can get his face tattooed, he can go through the legal system, and beat up a dude in the airplane last year, and it still doesn't matter. That's one guy. No matter how high his voice is, you don't want to mess with them. Iron Mike Tyson.
I got you, Mister. Let's go to you next.
Man, yeah, I gotta go with Frank, in the same era. Mike Tyson, what I'm saying, that was the guy. But the other person who I liked and followed was Pernell Whitaker. He was another one that I watched a lot with my dad. And then one more is the Cincinnati Cobra, Ezra Charles, from Nasty Natty. He was real good. I saw him a little bit when I was young. Like I said, a lot of times I used to watch fights with my dad, so that's how I got into it. But those three right there.
Okay, Fitty, what about you?
My favorite all time, the Italian Rocky Marciano, the only undefeated heavyweight champion of all time, who probably wouldn't even be a heavyweight now because he's only at 185 pounds. Him, and then I was a big fan of Kelly the Ghost Pavlik, who is a former guest of the show here back in season 1. So was a big fan of the Ghost. And then big fan of Ray Boom Boom Mancini as well from Youngstown. Got a chance to meet Ray last year in Toledo. I talked to him on the phone about 10 years ago, which was pretty cool. I wrote him a letter. So 3 of my favorite guys ever.
I got you. Rusty, let's go to you next.
My favorite boxer of all time, my dad. 1956 Golden Gloves champ here in Lake County. Let's go with the number 2, the big time guys. Growing up with my dad watching boxing, Marvelous Marvin Hagler. You know, the guy was a beast. Him, Hagler, Hearns, that was a big thing for me growing up. That was always a big rivalry fight. But when you're such a badass and you can legally change your name to Marvelous, that says a lot too. But Marvin Hagler was a beast.
I got you, Matt. Let's go to you next.
Yeah, you know, I was going to include Hagler. I really couldn't decide between all of those middleweights, you know, when I was growing up. That was just a brutal division. I mean, you got Hearns, Hagler, Leonard, Duran. I mean, and the best part about that was they were all accessible. You know, I don't know about you guys growing up, but my parents weren't really paying for anything over the cable bill if they had cable, you know, back then. But, you know, you had ABC Wild World of Sports, you had USA Tuesday Night Fights, and they were always, you know, the sport of boxing was always out there. So those middleweights are really what I kind of grew up on and really got into it.
I got you. Biddy, I hate to say that you took mine, and Kelly the Ghost Pavlik. How do you not say, you know, former guest of the show in season 1 is my favorite boxer of all time. I did watch a lot of his fights. Tyson's always up there. I mean, I feel like everybody's got a Tyson story from watching one of his fights, just in his heyday and everything like that. But Kelly Pavlik, for me, the Ghost, is definitely up there on my list, and one of the best rated shows on Ride Home Rant. So how do you fault him for that? You know what I mean? So got to go with my man Kelly. Matt, let's go to you on this one. And who do you think is the greatest heavyweight boxer of all time?
Well, you know, boy, that's a tough one. You know, wow. I mean, you had to lead off with me on that one. I'm going to go with Rocky Marciano because he was undefeated and he's a Paisan. There, that's what I got.
My guy, yeah, absolutely. That is the correct answer for the rest of you. Just so if you're aware of that one there, that is the correct answer. That's why I went to Matt first. But Rusty, what about you?
I'm going to modernize it. I'll go with Iron Mike. I mean, the way he took that in the late 80s and unified the belts in such a short amount of time, the way he did it, yeah, the talent probably wasn't what it was back in the 70s and 80s, the early 80s when he won it, but the way he did it and with the discipline he did it and the ferocity he did it, I say Mike Tyson.
Okay. Fiddy, what about you?
You know, I mean, Rocky Marciano is my favorite boxer of all time, and I would say he's arguably top 3. I think you could probably say him, Ali, Tyson in there. You could probably throw in George Foreman, Joe Louis, Smoking Joe Frazier, guys like that. Even you could also throw in Tyson Fury in that as well. But for me, I think it's Rocky Marciano just because he is the only undefeated heavyweight champion of all time. He did beat Ezra Charles. He did beat Smoking Joe, or it's not Smoking Joe. He beat Joe Louis, even though he was past his prime at that time. But you got to go Rocky Marciano. I think you still look it up. He's still one of the hardest punchers of all time in the heavyweight division, even harder than Mike Tyson.
I got you. Mister, what about you?
I tell you what, man, you know, there's a game system. It's called Nintendo, and I think a lot of us know about Nintendo. And in that Nintendo, there was a game called Mike Tyson Punch-Out. Now, and I think, it's kind of hard to, somebody that has a game named after them on a video game. Yeah, I mean, you're pretty good. You're all right. You're not bad. But Mike Tyson, I would have loved to see Rocky Marciano fight. I never really got to, watch him fight, but I would love to go back and watch some of his old tape. But again, being undefeated, and you can't really say too much about that. That's a heck of a feat to do that in any professional sport, number one. But I have to go on Mike Tyson for heavyweight, but there's a lot of them. I mean, there's a lot. The thing that Mike Tyson did at a young age, and you know what? And if you go back and look at how old Mike Tyson was when he won it. I would like to, probably go through history and see who's been like the youngest, winning those championships, whatever division it was. But I think, when he came out, he was just devastated, and he had probably one of the best trainers to train him. So
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. D. Frank, let's go to you.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Mike Tyson's trainer. I was just talking to one of his trainer son-in-laws here this afternoon. Jerry Molinak's trained for Don King up here in Northeast Ohio, and it's crazy. This happened like 20 minutes from my house, and for a favorite heavyweight boxer of all time, I think you've got to go Ali for his prowess in the ring, but also for the fact that he was a cultural icon. The fact that, Ali changed the game, man. It was, he made boxing cool. And maybe, you know what, there might be better technical fighters, there might be better, people at certain particular things. But when you talk about somebody who is an iconic person, iconic American, borderline on the Mount Rushmore of sports in North America, I think you gotta say Ali.
Yeah, that's a tough one for me. I mean, Rocky Marciano's up there for me. The comedian in me is so upset that Fitty didn't say Rocky Balboa just because of his love of, of Rocky for that one there. We had a whole Rocky show and a whole show dedicated to that. But Marciano, only undefeated heavyweight champion for sure, is my pick for that one. And I know you got something to say to that, Fitty, so go ahead, get it in there.
I mean, I was gonna say, like Rocky Balboa. I mean, he did go with Rocky Marciano was his favorite fighter, and he had like the tough link from Mickey from Rocky Marciano. And Matt was on that show about Rocky Balboa when we did that. But I should have just said Chuck Wepner because he inspired Rocky Balboa, and he did knock down Ali at the fight at the Richfield Coliseum here in Cleveland. So I don't know, the Bayonne bleeder, Chuck Wepner. We'll go with him too.
Okay. Gotcha. On that one. Steve Frank, let's go back to you on this one. What is your favorite weight division in boxing?
Well, and this is part of the reason my love for boxing is sort of withered. It's obviously it's the heavyweights, but Dana White killed the heavyweight boxing division by all of the traditional boxers that were in heavyweight division are all fighting MMA now. And if you look at how it's deteriorated over time, your title holders now in all the big weight classes and divisions are all Russians and Ukrainians and guys that you've never heard of. And it's a shame because heavyweight boxing used to be an event. And I'm with Matt. We couldn't afford to get pay-per-views. So, of course, we had the cheater box that you could watch those fights on for sure.
Gotcha. Mister, let's go to you next.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to go with my boy Frank, man. The heavyweights most definitely. I mean, it's always been my favorite. The heavyweight, then probably it would probably the bantamweight would probably be one of my other ones though. But the heavyweights has always been my been my one that I like to watch a lot.
I got you. Fitty, what about you?
I do really like the heavyweights now. Now, granted, like what Dave said, like there's not many Americans, right? You have like the Brown Bomber, Deontay Wilder, but the rest of those guys, Anthony Joshua, you have Tyson Fury, you have Derek Chisora, you have all those other guys, like they're all international dudes from like England and Russia and all that. So, but I do like that, but I think too many weight classes is kind of also dampened down it because like Rocky Marciano would probably be a super middleweight now as he fought at like 185. He wouldn't even be cruiserweight. So I think that also kind of took some luster away from it. But my favorite of all time is probably the middleweights because you had Marvelous Marvin Hagler, you had Tommy the Hitman Hearns, you had Kelly Pavlik fighting in that realm as well. You had Roberto Duran, the man with the hands of stone. So, to me, I think the middleweight boxing was my favorite in the old school, but I do enjoy the heavyweights now.
Gotcha. Rusty, what about you?
The same, echoing what Fitty said. Now the heavyweights, they're getting they're trying to bring it back. Boxing's trying to, they're climbing that ladder back up there. They're in that head-on battle with MMA. But from when I watched it, as I said, as a kid growing up, you had the welterweights who were spicy, but you had the middleweights. They were big dudes that could move. They were fast. The fights, they were brawls. And, it wasn't just one punch was going to knock a guy out. It was going to be a battle. It was going to be a war. The heavyweights, you could get some big bruiser in there and one good shot and down you go. But these guys, they brought excitement. They moved. They had flair. But they were big dudes that could, they could really put on a good show and put on a good fight. I shouldn't call it a show. That's when boxing was real, and that was real. And those guys just watched. They were monsters, man. They were chiseled. I mean, they were brick shit houses.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong with that one. But Matt, let's get your thoughts here first.
Yeah, I definitely got to go with the middleweights. I said that on my intro. Just, that was my favorite era of boxing. And, it seemed like, the heavyweights were always for the pay-per-views. And, everybody knew the top of the line heavyweights. And, the middleweights, like I said, you guys already talked about Hearns, Hagler, Duran, all that stuff. But, the channel USA really carried it over. And one of the guys I didn't mention, but one of my favorites was Vinny Pazienza there for most of the late 80s, early 90s.
The
And,
pads.
it was always seemed like on Tuesday night fights, it was either him fighting or somebody that was going to win the bout and fight him next and stuff like that. So I really like the middleweights also because I'm not a real big guy, but growing up, I'm like, you know what? If I worked hard and maybe my genetics played a trick on me, I might be able to be a middleweight. But there was no way I was ever going to, look at those guys as heavyweights and say like, yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah,
The pads. That was a good call.
Yeah, that's
The pads.
absolutely a good call out there for that one. Middleweight for me is definitely it's it for me. Like everyone said, that they're fast fighters. It's not going to be that one punch is going to end the fight. It's going to be a war. You're going to get a good show for 10, 12, 15 rounds at some point in time when they were able to go 15 rounds. You would get your money's worth out of that, even though they really weren't on pay-per-views. But yeah, the middleweights for me, just from the sheer speed and power that these guys had. And still do, and middleweights don't get the love that they do, like the heavyweights do. And I think that needs to be a shift in boxing and give the middleweights their love there too as well. Matt, let's stay with you on this one. And are boxing workouts the hardest workouts in your opinion for any athlete?
Yes, I think they are. It's, they've added that, the boxing workout was the original, hey, we're going to get you in shape, kind of housewife, kind of, suburban kind of workout. And then they morphed into the CrossFitting and the, the crossover workouts and all that. But boxing was original. And you know what? You still go back to it. I dabbled a little bit working out boxing wise. And boy, if you don't decide after trying to get yourself in shape to fight that you're not really a fighter, you don't even get to go in the ring usually.
That's your Rusty. What about you?
Hey, go hit a heavy bag for a half hour. You'll see the workout, man. We had a place here where we would go and do a boxing workout, a bunch of us coaches, and they had the one workout was great. They strapped you to this big bungee and you were tied up with your bag and you had to go and you had to go and you had to go. And man, I tell you what, your ass was whooped after that. And it doesn't matter. I don't care if you can bench press 300 pounds. I don't care if you can run a, sub 10-second 100. That's a badass workout. It's preparing you, not just endurance, but the combat side of it. Your body takes a beating and your body's got to be able to give the beating out. So it's basically a survival workout is what it is. I mean, you got to be peak for that.
Absolutely. I'll give my thoughts here at the end, but Fitty, what about you?
Yeah, like guys were saying, right? Like, and I've dabbled a little bit in boxing workouts. They're the hardest thing, right? Like, and I'm saying that I played college football, and a lot of guys here played college sports. It's way different. It's not about bench pressing. It's not about running sprints. Sure, they incorporate it, but it goes back to like what Matt was saying, the original stuff. It's running 10 miles at 4 a.m. It is doing a lot of like stretching. It is hitting the heavy bag. If you want to find out how in shape you are, go shadow box in front of a mirror for 5 minutes. Just do it for 5 minutes. Throwing combos, you'll be exhausted. It's about jumping rope, or as they say, skipping. It's about doing footwork with ladders and line drills and things like that. It's about hitting the speed bag and the rhythm of that. It's about doing the rope work in the ring where you had to make yourself skinny, how to turn your head, things like that. It's a ton of stretching and flexibility. Boxers are actually very flexible. Like that incorporated into workouts itself will make you vomit 99% of the time. And that's not even sprinting. That's not even your neck workout. That's not even your weights or your abs. Not even your abs are counted in that. I would say to anybody, you want to find out how in shape you are, go shadow box in front of a mirror for 5 minutes. You don't think it's long? and shadow boxing about 45 seconds is exhausting. So go do it for about 5 minutes, and that's a warm up for those guys. So yeah, I think it's the hardest workout out there.
I got you, Mister. What about you?
Oh yeah, it is 100% the hardest thing, and I've seen it with my own eyes with my father. I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but my dad, he used to box Golden Gloves in Cincinnati and Lincoln Heights at the gym at the YMCA, and I can remember being 5, 6, 7 years old, even as young as 4 years old, the workout that he would do. I mean, heck, that's why I started working out and understood. I mean, just how to work. You had to push your body to a new level. And the things that he was doing, he'd leave the house early in the morning. He'd be like, where dad going, Mom? But he getting that work in. But I saw it. And he ran miles and miles and miles. And he kept his figure down for a long, long time. But it is, like I said, I saw it with my dad. I mean, the workout he used to do. And when I incorporated some of those workouts, especially like the long distance running, the stamina. He used to run with the heavy belt around his waist. They didn't have the vest back then, so he had like this big heavy weight belt that he put around his waist, and he would run around the neighborhood, man. I mean, just for hours. And come
And
back
in the day, going off Mr. Soon, like dudes like Rocky Marciano's time, guys would run in work boots.
Yes.
They would run in work boots for like 7, 8, 10 miles to just build their endurance, and their feet would be so much lighter in the ring. But guys would wear heavy, like combat, like cement boots back in the day and run.
No, that's 50. That's 100% correct. You're right, man, and that's why they did it, because it make you have a light footwork when you get in the ring, when you start boxing. You be able to you work on your flexibility, you're building your toes, your ankles. You know what I'm saying, all that. So you're right. That's why they did that. Then
Gotcha.
I saw it.
Yeah, it's brutal. But D. Frank, what about you?
Well, listening to most of this panel, you would think that the biggest workout for most of your favorite boxers is crushing Nona's gravy on a Sunday, because of all the pasta benders and macaroni makers you guys have been throwing out there today. I would definitely much respect for boxing workouts for sure. And I think there's a little bit more explosion that goes along with that, with the endurance. But the workout that I would put up there is the real legit NCAA collegiate wrestling workouts. Very fortunate to know 5-time NCAA champion Carter Starocki from Penn State. And I've seen the workouts that they do in that room and what Kale puts them through at Penn State. And not just your normal high school wrestling, but I'm talking about wrestling collegiately at the highest level. I would put that workout 1A and 1B with boxing. I feel like much respect to that, but I feel like the boxing workout and the wrestling workout are 1A and 1B.
Yeah, I think that's where you get into a lot of like people saying like this mixed martial arts is the top tier workout, because you're mixing both of those 1A, 1B boxing, and you're working in the groundwork. But as somebody that used to do boxing workouts with a guy that both Fitty and I'm sure Mr. No from back in the Bethany College day, Eric Walker, stud running back for Bethany College when I was there. I mean, we would hit the heavy bag for like 5 minutes. Like there'd be times when it's like, he's like, you got another round? I was like, dude, I can't lift my arms. Like, what are you talking about? I got another round in me. I mean, I'm going to do it because it's you and we're here. But like, we're talking 10, 15 minutes and like, you're shot, and you don't think that hitting a heavy bag where something that's not hitting you back is gonna take that toll. You feel like you got hit back after those 15 minutes on the heavy bag. Like to fit to your point, shadow boxing, even just throwing punches in that to yourself is a workout in and of itself. And there's times where it's like, man, you don't even need the bag to get that workout, and it just add that extra layer to it. So yeah, I would have to say up there now, boxing, mixing in a little bit of the groundwork with the mixed martial arts too as well.
And I tell you something else, Ruka, my bad, Mike. And that's how I knew I was not in shape and ready for football. Was when my dad had put me, had suggested, and I'm gonna say it like that, some boxing type of workout. Now this is, I'm going to high school, whatever. Think I'm big and bad and ready. You know what I'm saying? Even going to my junior, senior year. That's how I knew I wasn't in shape. When I started incorporating some of those workouts, I mean, I was unstoppable. I wasn't tired, but it is like you guys are saying. It is another type of workout, man. You got to be something different. You do
Yeah.
boxing, wrestling, something different.
You got to go to a different level doing a boxing workout. Like, I mean, you just, your head and your mind and your body, you just got to flip that switch. You gotta tap into a beast that you didn't even know was living inside of you to finish all those workouts. So yeah, that's for sure for me, up there, and one of the toughest workouts that I've done. D Frank, now with Las Vegas, it has traditionally been the big place to have fights, along with like Madison Square Garden and Atlantic City. As a fan, do you care where the fights are being staged, and do you think it matters to the boxers as well?
Well, I think those are two different things, right? For me personally, I don't have the kind of bankroll to go actually watch one of those fights in person because they are stupid expensive to go to. But I think for the boxers, there's a certain mystique to like you said, fighting at MSG or fighting at one of the big venues in Vegas. I feel like it's sort of the build up, and as they pan to the crowd, and it's a who's who of everybody there. Yeah, that's something that I think MMA has endeavored to sort of copy from boxing to make it just, I mean, it's an event that everybody needs to see for sure. So I think personally, I'll watch it wherever, but for the boxers themselves, I think it kind of adds to the mystique.
Yeah, absolutely. That one, Mister. What about you?
And I'll tell you what, no, D. Frank, he said it perfectly, man. I would say that, for a boxer, you want to be able to compete and at the best venue as possible. And I think, the whole mystique of it, being in Las Vegas, I think it's just another level for them guys. That's like, we like to say, we going to the Super Bowl or going to the championship. I mean, that's the mecca of everything, to be able to fight, in that city, in that particular ring. But, I think that there's other places that, that it can serve the same thing. But I think for a lot of boxers, they know Vegas, what I'm saying? That's where it's at. That's where they wanted to get to.
I got you. Fitty, what about you?
As a fan, I would love to see, as a fan, I would love to see them go box at maybe some smaller venues, make it a little bit more intimate, right? Like, there's no reason they couldn't fight at Quicken Loans. Pavlik used to fight at the Cavelli Center in Youngstown. I think he fought at Youngstown State a couple of times, right? Like, Muhammad Ali fought at the Richfield Coliseum. So, I think as a fan, I would love to see them go back to little smaller venues. But for the boxers, I think, I think MSG is the mecca of boxing because you're in the world's famous arena. So I think they want to fight there, not in the arena at Madison Square Gardens, but the actual Madison Square Gardens basketball arena, because there's the theater, which they call the arena as well, inside of that. And then there's the main area. So I would think they love to fight there. Vegas, yeah. I think there's a nostalgia for certain boxers about Atlantic City. I don't think, if people don't know when, and not as the president, but when Donald Trump owned his casinos in Atlantic City, a lot of guys fought there because they were just a huge draw because of the gambling. Because it was only, I think, maybe the guys can correct me here, maybe the only other place in the United States outside of Vegas people could go gamble at that time. So a lot of people would go have big fights there, and he owned that at that time. So that was a huge draw, but that's fallen off about the past 20 years. So I think really they'll go to Vegas, but I also think they'll go where the money is, because if they're going to fight in front of 100,000 people at Wembley Stadium in an all British boxing match with Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury, I mean, people are going to go, right? The Middle East has become a big player in it now. They have a big money guy in the Middle East dishing out a ton of money for him to fight in North Africa and other parts there. So I think they'll go kind of where the money is. But as a fan, I would love to see it be at smaller arenas.
I got you. Rusty, what about you?
I, again, echoing what the guys said, as a fan, we have the access to watch it, and not so much watch it anywhere we're at, not so much the bankroll to go see it in person. Who knows how you show up if you're going to sit through all of that, hey man, God love you until you get to the main card. But I think for the boxers, it's just like any other athlete. If you're playing in a special arena that has history, that has that mystique was mentioned before, that adds to your vibe and that adds to your mindset. And, depending on the kind of person you are, if you can fuel yourself off of that, hey man, you're going to go out and have a hell of a night. maybe it works the other way. Maybe it puts too much pressure on a fighter too. So like, oh my God, I got to live up to this. But I think being in a place like Madison Square Garden or Vegas, not so much Atlantic City. I think Atlantic City died 30 years ago. But the fact that, you watch what UFC is doing, they bounce around to different venues and they're smaller arenas, but they're still drawn and they're still promoting their sport. So, but I mean, boxing still has its two polar ends in New York and Vegas, but to have it in some other places, it might be unique and might be cool for a certain card on that list to, to be in a certain place geographically. But I think back to the original question, if it's a place with big history, yeah, you want to be a part of that history.
Yeah, absolutely, Matt. What about you?
Yeah, I think everybody touched on the history and the places. I'm going to steer just a little bit, not necessarily the places, but I think for boxers, it's the time. I read a quote from a boxer, I can't remember who, but his goal was to always fight at 10 p.m. or later. And, because that means they're the main draw, their name's the biggest on the poster. So, you guys all touched on, of course, Vegas, Madison Square Garden, but I think for boxers, their time that they fight, nobody wants to be the 7:30 dark match. They want to have their name up there, main event. And so I just kind of twisted it around on that, but I agree with everything everybody else said.
No, you're spot on there. That's kind of where I was going to go with it, with Vegas and Madison Square Garden and Atlantic City. I mean, you're talking East Coast, West Coast. I think for the fighters themselves, I think it matters where that fight is happening. If you got an East Coast fighter that now's got us flip to West Coast time, try to go there, I think that messes with them mentally, and I don't think they're in it for a little while because their timing is all messed up with where they're fighting and when they're fighting. You brought it up. Everybody wants to be those later fights because your name's on the marquee, your picture's on the poster, and everyone's watching to fight you. And as D. Frank is so eloquently putting, yeah, it's all about the Benjamins up there too as well. You're making more for that fight too as well. I think, yeah, for me, it's more of a time zone thing. Being on the East Coast, those fights that are starting earlier our time or their time, but later our time because of where they're fighting. If they're in Vegas, it takes a little bit off of it. How the UFC did it this past weekend, fight night, and it said the prelims start at 7 a.m. Who the hell's getting up on Saturday at 7 a.m. if you don't got to get up to watch those fights? Like, for those fighters, I think that takes a little bit away from the fan experience. I mean, if it's over in a place like Abu Dhabi and stuff like that, where, it's a little bit later of the time zone, just record it and tell us and put it on at a normal time and in prime time so everybody can see it. We don't need to know it's not live. Who cares? We're still getting to see the fights, but yeah, like it's more of a time zone thing for me.
Ronald, and I'll tell you this, about 9 years ago, I think it was 2017, Jeff Horn from Australia fought Manny Pacquiao in Australia at 4 p.m. outside in Australia to be like an 8 o'clock fight here the day before in the United States. Because they're like, 20 hours ahead or whatever. So they were fighting at 4 p.m. outside in Australia for us to watch it at 8 p.m. the day before.
Yeah, like that's stupid to me. Fight it whenever you want to fight it, record it if you have to, and put it on here whenever you can. Like, I don't care. I know the way of the internet, people are going to say, oh, well, someone's going to spoil it. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna watch it regardless because I love combat sports and I love the violence of it, and just the chess match that you see. I mean, they might say, oh, well, Manny Pacquiao wins or Tyson wins. Who cares? I want to see how he won. I'm still gonna watch it. So yeah, for me, it's a time zone thing. That brings up a point to me too as well. And boxing champions in America are becoming fewer and fewer as England, Mexico, and parts of Latin America are dominating the sport. Matt, why do you think that is?
I think it's just a shift in tastes or shift in styles. It goes through cycles. I mean, it really does. I mean, if you go, boxing is an old sport, and, it's a gentleman's sport, the sweet science. And, it used to be only for a certain type of people would only, get into the sport. And now it's global. And I think there's just a lot of things to do outside of boxing now, and people have a lot of choices. So in your more developed countries, they just decide that they want to shoot a basketball or, get into MMA, like I'm sure you guys are all going to talk about. So I don't know. I think it's just a change in styles. And honestly, I think there's less people that, really don't mind getting hit anymore. Be honest with you.
I got you. Rusty, what about you?
Yeah, Matt hit on it. There's different choices. People, they have different ways they can go athletically. Boxing is a very disciplined sport. So, some guys, it takes a lot. You look at the crossover fights we've had with Conor McGregor and Mayweather. Mayweather's a boxer, Conor's an MMA guy. So, he's chomping at the bit. He's out of his element. He wants to use his feet. He wants to shoot. A boxer, you got to be disciplined. You got to work your feet a different way. You got to move around the ring. You got to be quick, and it's all about the hands. And there's rules to it. And it is a more disciplined, more precision sport than MMA is. And I think guys just want to go in for the brawl, and MMA has made the paychecks a little bit better, and it's just something easier to get into for them.
Yeah, I'll touch on that one too, because the McGregor Mayweather fight and everything with that crossover, I was so hyped for that fight, but you could tell that McGregor was out of his element, because every time that Mayweather would turn, hit to block, and he would bring his back to him, you could tell that McGregor wanted to jump on his back and put him in a choke, or start beating him in the side, and stuff that he can't do in boxing but is legal in MMA. And that's where I think he got him out of his element. And I think you could tell that it's a much more disciplined sport than the world of mixed martial arts. And you hit that head right on it, that one there, for that being out of their element. But Fitty, what about you with this question?
Well, I think it goes back to a couple of things. So it's an old sport, right? So back in the day, 1910s, 20s, 30s, even a little bit of the 40s, before the NFL got very, very popular, the one and two sports in America were baseball, the American pastime, and boxing, right? Because you had a lot of great American fighters. As the NFL developed, the NFL then pushed everything down. Okay. And then you had a dip in boxing, because you had this spot when, like, Ali, on his downslope, you didn't have someone to replace that personality. Yeah, you had like George Foreman, but you had a lot of great fighters phasing out in the 70s and the 80s. It went to the middleweights, and it still just wasn't the big draw. Second part is a lot of boxers box their way out of the inner city and poverty because it's the only thing that they could do to survive at a time. And there's a lot of ways, like, other guys after World War I and World War II, they had no work opportunities. All they knew was fighting. So as the world shifted and guys aren't fighting to survive anymore in America, as we got more modernized, then you've seen the rise of guys fighting for their life to get out of Latin America, the Philippines, Russia, Ukraine, Great Britain, because they just didn't have the opportunities. So then you combine that with a dip in American interest in, like, boxing, because baseball's now there and the NFL is dominant and the NBA and other things, then you just naturally see a drop in it, and people just get disinterested. It's not that people still don't box trying to uplift themselves out of poverty in the inner city, but there's a lot more global boxers now with more recognition who are just literally fighting to survive and have a paycheck. I mean, look at Manny Pacquiao's background. He came from nothing, right? And was a, eight-time different weight class champion because he fought to survive. So, I think that's what it was. Combination of the NFL and then the 70 plus years of not being in wars and poverty changing across the United States.
Gotcha. Mister, what about you?
Well, I mean, man, everybody kind of hit and said a lot of the same thing that I was thinking about. One thing, like everybody said, boxing is most definitely has become, well, it's a global sport. And I think when you look at outside of America, You go back to the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, all the way up. And you look at the shift with, 50 hit it, with the NFL becoming popular during that time. You look at, just the society in America. Take the last 20 or 30 years, man, these kids are doing TikTok videos and stuff like that. These kids these kids are on internet. They trying to figure out, what I'm saying, let's have a salt, who can eat the most salt challenge. That's what these kids are on now. Let's do the cinnamon challenge. So instead of, doing something physically, they want to do something with a grain of salt and some cinnamon, and have that type of challenge. Dumb challenge is what I call it. That's what it is. And you got, people that's outside of America, these people, you got people that's trying to survive, man. That's trying to, that's trying to put money in their pocket, trying to feed their family. And boxing, it's an avenue for them.
Would you say it's softer here?
100%.
Yep.
It is 100. Yes, sir, Matt.
The whole the
absolutely
generational getting softer. Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's night and day. I mean, it's literally night and day. Like we all talk about. You can. I know this is boxing, but even look at basketball. Look at how many international players is playing basketball over here now. Come on, when we had that in our lifetime? All of us growing up, wasn't no international players playing basketball like that. You might have one. You know what I'm saying? Now you got a whole team. And it's just go. It's just go back. The same with boxing. A lot of guys are not. They're not doing it. They find other things to do with their time. And you look outside. You look at Latin America. You look at Russia, Germany, Ukraine. You go down to Mexico. These guys are trying to survive, man.
Yeah,
And we got our great American young people trying to survive on TikTok videos, salt and cinnamon.
Yep.
Yeah, I'll leave it right there.
You're not wrong. T. Frank, round us out on this one.
Yeah, so I don't know that anybody in America has their dad eating their dog like Manny Pacquiao's dad made him in order to make him tough. Now, I sincerely do not endorse this. I don't want the ASPCA to come in and cancel Mike Bono's show at all. I don't endorse that. But yeah, Manny Pacquiao, rose from nothing, eating his dog, to becoming, Mayor of Manila or whatever he was.
He's a good singer too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The big piece to that, and to really kind of jump on what my man, Mr. Mister, was saying, is the internet, right? So we're short attention span theater. Everybody's looking for something that's going to hit you right now, and everybody's looking for an influencer, and it's almost like a WWE kind of feel to it. And we're totally lacking those sorts of personalities in boxing. There's a whole bunch of great boxers that weren't great mic men over the years, and that's really kind of hurt. It's really kind of hurt boxing, right? So what Money Mayweather is probably the last one that kind of combined all that together. Find your average everyday American now and say, hey, name an American boxer. And they just don't have that sort of personality and panache because, well, in the death of ESPN as your kind of go-to source for sports, right? Boxing used to be appointment television. It was, hey, who's coming over tonight for the fight? And that was such a big and important part of it. And it's not appointment television anymore because of the instant gratification of the internet and because of the short attention span theater from Generation Z and Generation Alpha. That's where we're going.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to add on that one. And that, it's just, people are fighting for something to get out of the poverty, like everyone was saying. We're not doing it here in America. It's a little too, I don't want to say cushy here in America, but it's too cushy here in America. You're not fighting for something. You're not fighting to get out of the situation that you're in. And that's all these people had to do. And I think it's starting to show. I can't remember if it was D. Frank or Mister, but you brought it up with the NBA. How many international players? I mean, you got a whole rosters, and you couldn't name an American name on there if they paid you to. You know what I mean? So like it's that, and yeah, there's just not much to add with that. D Frank, you did bring up something that I wanna touch on here as we wind down here near the end of the show, and I feel like this might actually end the show with how long I think I could talk about this one here. But what are your thoughts on Jake Paul's boxing career, D Frank?
I'll tell you what, the Pauls, Jake and Logan, have managed to take what is a brand that they had and expand on it. And whether you're talking about Jake boxing or Logan doing the WWE, there is some substance to their style, right? They are great athletes. Do I think that he's a great boxer? Well, I mean, that's probably the name you're going to get. If you ask most Americans to name a boxer, they'd be like, oh, yeah, Jake Paul. Yeah. That's what you're looking at. Good for them, right? They figured out a way to capitalize on the current generation's short attention span.
That's
Yeah, just Mister, keep us going on that one. I can tell you're agreeing with my man D Frank, but keep us going on that one.
Oh God, D. Frank, hey, that is absolutely 100% perfect. He was able to, again, they are able. If you can capitalize my grasshopper can jump farther than yours, grasshopper. I mean, do it. I mean, because that's what they're doing.
What
I
the
mean,
shit?
yeah, I mean that's how they making money. I mean, and that's their interest. So whatever you can capitalize off of, I mean, I guess, hey man, hey, let them live life, have fun, enjoy. I'll be somewhere with Elon Musk on Mars.
Petty, what about you?
Well, here's the thing. Like, and we previewed a couple years back. I know Rusty was on. I think Mister was on it. I can't remember who else, but we previewed Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, right? So, like, can you say he's a good boxer because he beat an old Mike Tyson? No. You look at the two legitimate boxers he's fought. Tommy Fury, who's 1/8 of his brother Tyson Fury, and he beats him on points. Tommy Fury goes on. And then you fight Anthony Joshua because you try to be hard about it, and he breaks your jaw in 2 places, and you look like an absolute, putz in the ring because you're trying to clinch and do all these things, and all you did was infuriate him, make the crowd angry, and then he shatters your jaw across, your face was crooked because of it. So to say he's a legitimate boxer, no. And I think, Mike, when we had the run of like guys on that DJ had as fighters, Tony and DJ and all those guys, maybe it was Billy or whoever, I can't remember. But they said like Jake Paul's a good like amateur fighter, but he's not professionally based. And I think when you watch a Tommy Fury fight against him, you watch an Anthony Joshua fight, like he's not a heavyweight material. Maybe he could go down and be okay as a middleweight if he cut enough weight. I don't know. But I will throw this out there. I would love, if he's going to make a comeback, I would love to watch Kelly Pavlik at the weight he is now, not as 160 pounds. I think Kelly's in his early 40s. But I would want to see Kelly Pavlik fight Jake Paul in the Battle of Ohio. And they can have it at Youngstown or in Cleveland. Let's have Jake Paul fight Kelly Pavlik at a cruiserweight weight.
Kelly would totally destroy that guy. All right.
100% he would. 100%. But we could have a great fight with that, though.
Well, no, you can't. He's not even a freaking amateur. He's not even an amateur, Fitty.
No, I mean, I'm saying the great fight with like the interest behind it. The interest behind it.
No. Okay. Like I said, this is pretty much going to end the show. I have so many opinions about this man here. I want to get everybody in here. I'm going to come back to that, Freddie, because that just amped me up so much. Rusty, what about you?
Yeah, like, you know what? That would be a good matchup, but you'd have a fighter in Kelly versus an entertainer because he's not a fighter. He's a show. He's an entertainer. He's a diva that's worked his style. He's found a way to make money. Hey, good on him. Same thing with his brother. But he's not a fighter. Drop him in there with any one of these guys in the 80s, he'd piss his pants before he got in a ring. So, I mean, featherweights, he'd be tough.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally would.
You're spot on.
You know what? Hey, isn't Butterbean's making a comeback? Let's have Butterbean fight Jake Paul.
Yes.
Here's one my dad used to use. My dad used to bring this one up. He'd say the guy's too light to fight, too thin to win, and he don't have enough ass to last. And that would be Paul. So feel free to use that too.
That's a good one.
Matt, let's get your thoughts on this one here. There's just so much.
I'll be quick and let you guys go. I'll just say this point. My son's going into 8th grade. Could not get him into boxing at all. However, we did watch all of Paul's fights, the last 3 fights, because he was interested in it, and it's got him into boxing a little bit. So for that reason, I'm going to say he's great for boxing. I don't really think he's a very good boxer either, but for that reason, if it brings some more kids with interest to the sport, let's have it. But yeah, I'll cede that to you, Bono.
Okay. Yeah, now we're gonna get into the nitty gritty of this and the real name of this show and the Rant Show, because I got so much to say about Jake Paul and his amateur ass boxing and wanting to fight all these old men and not boxers and wrestlers and be like, oh, I'm undefeated and I can fight anybody. I'm 6-0 and I fought. I can't even remember their names. They're MMA guys that were known.
Tyrone Woodley.
Yeah, Tyrone Woodley, who, okay, he was the only one that was a striker in MMA. And he's still, okay, yeah, he knocked him out. Okay, but he's an MMA guy. He's wanting to grapple. He's wanting to wrestle when he gets beat up. He's fighting guys that, they're old. Mike Tyson, out of his prime. What's Mike Tyson? 104 years old in boxing years? Like, let's talk about it. Mike Tyson's not in his prime. He looks good. He can still throw a punch, but you can tell, I'm going to get into it, and I know that I'm going to catch it for this. All of his fights are scripted. Let's just call it what it is. It's entertaining for the fans, and it's bringing younger generation into it. I get that. Let's get the younger generation into boxing. But you can tell the fights are scripted. There's so many videos out there about when he does when he sticks his tongue out and shakes his head at everyone. That's the cue. You're about to take a dive. I'm going to hit you, and you're going to fall on your face, and I'm going to knock you out. And know who didn't do it? The 2 boxers he actually fought. And Joshua, who he did that to, and he's like, okay, stick your tongue out. I'll break your jaw. Go ahead, taunt me. I don't care. I'm a boxer. You're not going to pay me. I'm going to make enough money actually boxing than what you're going to pay me. I don't care. Take all the money. I just want to knock you out and show people that you're not an actual professional boxer. Amateur, he might do well in the amateur ranks if he would actually have worked his way up through the amateur ranks like all of these guys have tried to do. And he's taking opportunities away from amateurs, I think, to get their shot at professional because he has the money. He's built his brand, like everybody has said, on YouTube, and he's brought that brand and taken it over into boxing. I could go another 15 minutes on this guy about how much I don't think he's a boxer and how much he's an amateur that wants to say he's a professional, and he's not. But I'm going to get this last question in here because I got to stop myself before I can feel my blood pressure just rising as the angry white comic on this topic. Matt, let's go with you. What are 1 or 2 dream boxing matches you would have loved to see happen but never did?
Duran Pacquiao. That's probably it. Duran Pacquiao. Both guys could take a punch very well, and both guys could deliver a punch pretty well. That'd be my dream matchup.
That's a solid start. Rusty, what about you?
Roy Jones, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Oh, that's another tough one. Fitty.
I got 2. Muhammad Ali, Rocky Marciano. And they did do the dream match after Marciano retired and Ali was suspended. But prime Muhammad Ali versus prime Rocky Marciano, I think would have been great. And then I would love to see how someone like Mike Tyson would fare against someone like Tyson Fury, who Tyson Fury was named after Mike Tyson.
Yeah, that's a solid one. Mister, what about you?
I'll tell you, I'm gonna make this easy. The one that I would have loved to see, I would have loved to see my dad fight. I never, when I was, I would have loved to see him fight, period, in the ring one time. So that would be me.
Okay. Steve Frank, what about you?
Yeah, so Fitty sounds like he should be in the barbershop at Coming to America. Rocky Marciano! I'll tell you what, guys, I'm obviously not as well versed as most of you are when it comes to some of these historical fights. I am drawing inspiration from all of you. They should close Huntington Bank Field in Cleveland, the new Mistake at the Lake, with Kelly Pavlik and Jake Paul, have Bone Thugs and Harmony and Machine Gun Kelly open up for them. And I mean, just make it an ultimate Cleveland fest for the land. You could have LeBron there and bring in Bernie Kosar and every other person that's ever set foot in Cleveland and been a dude, and make it an event, because that's the way you get people to watch boxing now.
D Frank, I'm so mad you took I was gonna say that exact thing. You know what the hell with it? Let's have Pavlik versus Paul in Cleveland in the Battle of Ohio, just to add that joke in here to end the show. That's a phenomenal one. No, a lot of good options there with what everyone was saying. You flip a coin. All of those are good. I don't really have too much of an opinion because all of the ones I was going to say were said already, so I'm not going to repeat what you guys have saying. But with that being said, that is actually going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I want to thank all of my guests, Steve Frank, Matt Altamore, the vampire coach himself, Mr. Askew, Fitty, and Rusty for being on the show here. This was a lot of fun to get to talk about boxing and everything and get the full round of combat sports in here on the show. And as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend, tell a friend. If you didn't, tell them anyways. They might like it just because you did. That's going to do it for me, and I will see y'all next week. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going.